Hey guys, it's Leo, Family Heritage Living. We were just talking if this was day 4 or day 5, and honestly, I don't remember, and I'm embarrassed because I'm showing truly how addle-brain I am, or have become with getting older, or just letting my mind get too full of stuff. But at any rate, here I am, consecutive days in a row, so I'm doing good, right? A lot of you folks have wanted to know how we do laundry. And we have talked about this in other videos, and we've actually shown some ways that we've done it. And since we've been up here almost 4 years, we have tried several different ways. When we first moved up here, knowing that we had a generator, we had an old wringer washer. And it was really neat. It was really cool. Unfortunately, what you did have to do, obviously, is you had to, because it wasn't gas motorized, it was electric, we did have to hook it up to the generator. Still needed water, but yet, if we didn't have time to go to the laundromat, or because the laundromat is so expensive, as any of you that go do know, and so multiply that by 6 and multiply that by really scurfy forest dirty work, it just is really expensive. I think we spend, well, I won't even go into that. But unfortunately, something happened to that washer, Josiah.
And I never claimed to be a motor guy.
It's no longer. But so we have found other ways to do laundry. We found other ways to do laundry. You know, the old-fashioned way. What I don't have is a scrub board, and it's probably for the best. I can see where a scrub board is good for, like, you know, really dingy areas, knees, elbows, wrist of work shirts and stuff. But to do everything on that is impractical, especially with a larger family. And of course, the new washing machines, the modern day washing machines, agitate. And that's, you know, that's what gets the clothes clean. So that is what we've tried to duplicate. If I've done it in a pan, I've used a stick and agitated it. If I've done it in my wash pan, you know, I've done the same thing. I've used a stick and swished it back and forth. But right now, what we've decided to do and have been doing for a little while is we're using 5-gallon buckets. It helps us to create a more stronger, steadier agitation, which really gets the clothes cleaner. And there are things that we still have to go to the laundromat for, but we're trying to conserve money in every way we can, and we just have to really stay up on top of it. You know, and that's what they did for years, is they stayed on top of their laundry. They didn't have a lot of different changes of clothes. And I was thinking about this video series. I don't know if some of you will know the book More with Less, and I think there's a cookbook. It started off with a cookbook, Living More with Less. So that's where I'm headed with this. You know, we have less of modern conveniences, but we're trying to live more. We're trying to live a fuller life. Yes, a washing machine would be great. It'd be simple, but at the same time, I think it creates a careless type of attitude, and that's what we're trying to form ourselves away from, because when in society, we get formed in that direction for the most part. So with every piece of material, clothing, towel, rag we wash, we become real intimate with that piece. We wash it by hand, we wring it out, you know, we dry it by hand, or you have to hang it up to dry it. So you really learn to appreciate these things and determine. Cleanliness has new levels when you live like this. It really does. You determine, can it be used again before it has to be washed? And that's, you know, some people go, ooh, well, that's only in our modern society, because that's what they did for years, is they established different levels of cleanliness and used an item until it needed to be washed. So I do have a fetish with rags, though. I don't like to use my rags more than once, or my towels. I can't do that. So those are like an ongoing issue for washing. Now I'm going to call my handy dandy camera holder man over here and show you what we do. So what we did is we took 2 5-gallon buckets, and Ron cut a hole in one lid. Okay, so what happened is he made me this type of plunger. It's just out of a plastic piece that he had from a tool. And so when I put laundry in here, I put the lid over and I tamp it down, and then what happens while I'm doing this, just like churning butter in a crock type butter churn, it keeps the water from splashing. And some of this stuff, like I said, the guys are out there sweaty. It's dirty out in the woods and stuff, cutting wood, the sawdust and stuff. So we need a lot of action in our agitation. And this is really nice. Now, I'm going to stand up here. Okay, so I can stand up and do it. If I have to do this for a little while, then I can read, I can talk, I can be involved in other things. If I'm watching something, I can continue to watch it. I can listen to something while I'm doing this because it's not real loud. And it really does do a good job. Now, the other thing that I like about it is it's like dishes. When I do laundry, most of the stuff, I want super hot water in it. I can't get hot enough in most faucets to get a hot enough water for me. So my water's super hot from the stove, and I know that it's really doing the work that I want it to do. So here we go. I like 2 buckets because that way when I'm done washing, if it's nasty outside or if it's dark, I can get a lot of the water out, and then I can put it in the next bucket and use that for my rinse. Sometimes I would do 2 rinses, sometimes I only do 1. It depends on the item I'm using and how much soap seems to appear to be in it after I do the first rinse. So, okay, go down in here. The problem is you can't get a lot of stuff in here and actually do a good job, okay? And it doesn't take a lot of water. There's 3 shirts. I might put 4 in after I get water in to see how much room I've really got to agitate. But I think it's like, and I may be off kilter here, but 2 gallon size pitchers for something like this to wash, and then about the same for rinsing.
I don't want to do that.
Okay, so I will put the other shirt in here, so that's 4 shirts, and I'm going to put in a little bit more water in. So a little bit of soap. Lots of times I don't even have to clamp the lid down, but I do just in case. I'll show you in a second. I don't know if this scraping the sides is going to make it hard to hear, but I'll show you in a second inside once I get this going and how well it agitates. Look down here, you can see the suds trying to come out. Let's take this off. So that does just as well. You see how messy it is without the lid on it, but that does just as well as the electric washer for getting. You can twist your pole. Put my lid back on. It has its drawbacks. Like you can't do jeans. I mean, in a pinch you can, but it's really not big enough. We've talked about other ways, other units we could use that would be large enough for something like that to really make it doable. But if I can keep up on towels and socks and t-shirts and the children's clothes, because those are easy to do in here, and my skirts, then that's 80% of our laundry problems. The others, of course, there's bedding, but that you don't do bedding weekly normally, at least not the blankets. You might wash your sheets weekly, but your blankets you don't. And then the weekly stuff for sure would be jeans and bulky. I don't know if you have a coat or something. Doing it this way too, you don't have to bend over, and that's really an important thing on your back. We've talked about, in fact, Ron had bought everything to make. I don't know if you guys know what those dasher washers are. They're about a unit. I'm going to say they're, if you took a 55-gallon barrel and cut it in half and shrunk it down just a little bit, and then there's a handle that holds a bar that goes back and forth. And they work great. But to buy a stainless steel one or to buy a metal one on like layman's, it's almost $1,000, and the unit itself just doesn't look durable enough for that type of pricing. And it's out of range for most people. So Ron had devised a plan to make one, and he'd gotten everything for it. This was about 2 years ago. But then we started contemplating the fact that because we use such hot water, what we didn't want to do, and we'd have to use at this point a piece of plywood on the ends, I didn't really want the glue from the plywood seeping into our clothes. So we kind of threw that to the wayside for now until we figure out something else. He doesn't have a welder any longer, so he couldn't weld anything to the end of that. And then we were going to just glue sheet metal to the plywood, but then again, you still have, where you're sealing your seams and stuff, you're still going to have that. And I'm pretty paranoid about that type of stuff. So, as long as the water is not too hot in the plastic, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just thinking here. All right, so let's rinse these out. Now I take this outside during the day, and then you can see all that dirt from these dirty t-shirts, from their work shirts. It really does do a good job. I mean, it gets a lot of stuff out of there. Okay, so now we put the rinse water in. And I'm not even sure that was between the two, that wasn't even a full gallon. So then I do the same thing, of course, for the rinse. I agitate it for a little bit, just like I agitate my husband. Huh?
Demerit.
We're giving demerits out in our home lately.
Oh no, we're not.
For misbehavior.
We're not giving demerits out. We're getting demerits.
Shh! I'm not supposed to tell anybody that.
Demerits are being given out.
Demerits are being given. Okay. I'm gonna go rinse that out. So if the water is, if I don't let them sit long, if they, cool down a little bit, I do use gloves because my water is too hot for me to wring these out. And even then it's hot. One thing that, if you're doing laundry by hand and you're not drying it in the dryer to get the wrinkles out, or it's really important to shake out the clothes, because it's amazing how wrinkly they are if you don't. And a couple of good cracks of the item, it draws those wrinkles out and makes it more realistic in ironing. Lots of things you don't even need to iron. When I do towels, if we forget to shake out one, it's like a stiff board. And if compared to the one that gets shaken, it's almost like it's been through a dryer. It's kind of funny that way. But I think the only thing that I would say, if you're doing laundry by hand, that would be worth it, if you can find a reproduction affordably, or if you can find an old one that's in good shape, make sure that the rollers aren't dried out, is a hand roller. Those are worth their weight in gold. My washing machine that was electric had one on it. And it, Archoside's back there cringing. It really did. I mean, it took out, when a washer is washing, let's be realistic about this. When you're at a laundromat, or you got a home washer and it's washing and it goes through the spin cycle, it's only going to use a certain amount of rinse water. Okay, it's not like it rinses until all of the dirty water is out of those clothes. That's not how it works. What it does do is it spins that stuff out so hard that we never see that dirty water. Okay, so like if you look in here and you go, ooh, that water's not crystal clear. Well, no, it's not, because it hasn't technically been through a spin cycle. This is our spin cycle right here. And again, just in an electric washer or a modern day washer, you just don't see it. I mean, it spins it out, and it's not like it's rinsed until it's crystal clear water. So the wheels, the rollers, do a really great job in helping to extract that. And so of course things dry quicker too. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's nothing extravagant, and some people would wonder, what in the world are we doing? Well, we are living more with less, right? All right, so I'm gonna, even though that phrase has been coined before, we're going to resurrect it and keep coining it. More with less, more with less. So, all right, so we will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a good night. God bless.